You can still see beautiful reliefs, but unfortunately a big area here looks like this. Totally ruined.
In this video, I will show you the city, which was the most dangerous place on earth just a few years ago, and what it looks like today.
Now inside it there are just piles of stones and garbage.
You will hear the stories of people who survived 3 years of hell under the rule of ISIS.
Do you remember the time of Daesh?
Yes.
Where have you been at this time?
Here, in Mosul.
You will hear how ISIS was able to fight against several armies for a year. And I will show you their prisons and rooms where they tortured people.
There are a room for investigation and torture. You are watching Regina, Khair, and we are in Mosul.
This is what Mosul, the second largest city in Iraq, looked like in 2015. And this is the same place, but from July 2017. The city was almost completely destroyed.
This is how many constructions here still look like. Total mess. That's what was left after the war.
And this is what half of the residential buildings in old Mosul look like. Everywhere there are traces of bullets, explosions and fires. That's so terrible.
And when terrorists came, the first days, what did you feel? Were you afraid of them?
At the beginning, when
Yes,
they entered
yes,
Mosul,
yes.
all people afraid because we didn't know what is Daesh. At that time, we don't have any information about them.
This is Mahmoud. He and his family endured 3 years all the horrors in Mosul when it was occupied by ISIS.
Mosul was very dangerous. The people was very sadness, and they moved to another city to see their life because no job, no working, no studying, no anything. The life stopped at that time. All famous restaurants closed at that time because the people don't have money to go to the restaurant. Just for day life. They're working for day life. They're working simple thing to get simple money just for one day. He get money for one day. Yes.
Mahmoud said that after the capture of the city by terrorists, many people lost their jobs and just couldn't feed their families. However, the shops continued to work. For example, this man kept a store during the times of ISIS, but he also says that it was very difficult.
The ISIS invasion.
I was here.
And how did you survive?
Very difficult, yes.
You stayed on this part or on the other side?
No, from the other side, left side.
That's...
But our shop is here.
Now it's hard to believe, but some residents of Mosul were happy about the arrival of ISIS and even joined them. Some did it for money, others followed them for the idea, and the rest seemed to try to feed themselves and their families.
Did any of your friends join ISIS?
Go with ISIS? No.
No?
No.
Good. But did you know any people who wanted to be on this
Yes,
side?
I saw one family or two family in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, go with him.
And what happened after?
All of
after
them, I
that?
think, I don't have information about them, but I think all of them have killed. Yes.
Here is what Mosul looked like after several years under ISIS. Terrorists not only captured the city, but also took the main building of Mosul, the ancient Al-Nuri Mosque.
You see this mosque under reconstruction. This is an ancient mosque called Al-Nuri. In 2014, exactly from this mosque, the leader of ISIS terrorist group, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, proclaimed the creation of the Islamic State and himself a Khalif, or in other words, the leader of the state.
But where did ISIS come from in the first place? The story begins in 2003, when radical religious military organizations started to emerge in response to the US invasion of Iraq. Their goal was to fight the Americans. After the fall of Saddam Hussein's regime, many dismissed soldiers could not find a new job and began to join ISIS. And when the US Army withdrew from Iraq, ISIS, which united the terrorists, began to seize Iraqi cities and villages.
In Iraq was lost today. Islamic militants seized control of Mosul.
And in 2014 captured Mosul, the second biggest city in the country.
These doors are just completely riddled with bullets, as well as the walls here and everything else. This is how the wall looks from the outside. Apparently there are a lot of pieces of bombs and weapons left after the war with ISIS. And some children were playing with them and died from explosions. So here is the brochure, the poster, providing information for children not to play with bombs or any kind of weapon in the city.
After the liberation, entire neighborhoods in Mosul were full of bombs and other explosives.
So basically there are still pieces of missiles and bombs inside these houses. So you can't go over there because there is kind of sign that you mustn't.
To neutralize the city from explosives, sappers combed district after district and marked safe places with flags.
You can't walk safely and you feel safe if you see these flags, because after they clear this area from missiles and bombs, they part these flags.
Heavy machinery was also used for mine and explosives cleaning and the clearance of houses.
Look, this machine. This for organization to clear Mosul, old Mosul from bombs, from missiles, and their job, I think their work stopped because there is no now missiles and no dangers.
Mosul was under the rule of terrorists for 3 years, for 3 endless years of hell. During that time, the terrorists killed, raped, and tortured the residents of the city. But how did it happen that a group of terrorists managed to capture such a large and important city? When ISIS attacked Mosul, the Iraqi army fought for almost a week to defend the city. But for unknown reasons, eventually they abandoned Mosul. There are many different theories why this happened, and here is one of the explanations.
I think that all of you have heard the story of American invasion of Iraq in 2003 to overthrow the regime of Saddam Hussein. The problem is that Americans left with destroyed state institutes and non-functioning military structures in Iraq. The country was destabilized. Many soldiers, Sunni officials and security personnel lost their jobs. And it just happened that Americans left an ideal environment for the spread of terrorism, and ISIS just took advantage of that.
ISIS leaders accepted into their armies Sunnis and former military men of Saddam Hussein who couldn't find a job and who were offended by the new government. Therefore, ISIS also got soldiers and officers who knew perfectly well how to handle weapons and wage war. And with their help, ISIS could so easily capture cities.
You know, water tanks on the roof are riddled with bullets. And this is what is left from the roof. There is not a single piece untouched from this on the wall.
And of course, rooms inside are also riddled with bullets.
It seems to be the room for children. And here you can also see holes from bullets everywhere.
At first, terrorists played good people, but later they began to rob the residents of Mosul. They could take anything, and if you didn't agree, they could just kill you.
If they want thing, like if they want this car, they would take it.
In general, the terrorists earned money in different ways. Immediately after the capture of Mosul, they robbed banks of $500 million. In addition, they sold huge amounts of oil, fertilizers, grain, cultural and architectural monuments, and the last one was especially terrible. ISIS issued special permits for looting cultural property and took a substantial percentage of its income. Therefore, a significant part of the exhibits of the Mosul Museum was destroyed or looted by terrorists.
Could you use mobile phones during ISIS times?
No, we can't use mobile phone at the time of Daesh.
And could you listen to music? Did you have a TV at home? Could you watch TV?
No, Daesh prevent all TV, television, TV, mobile phone, all the kind of the communication. Daesh prevent us from this whole thing.
Later, he explained why it was forbidden to use phones.
At the time of Daesh, we can't use a mobile phone because if they found the mobile phone with us, they say you are dealing with Iraq forces and you give information to Iraq forces. Even if you have a mobile phone, you can't use it inside Mosul because there is no connect.
Those who violated the prohibitions were killed by terrorists. The methods of punishment were wild in a medieval way.
This building was the Ministry Bank, and here on the opposite side there used to be a 7-story high building, and from there ISIS terrorists threw people down. And just 50 meters from that place you see empty area. There used to be a cinema there, but because there were no amusements during ISIS times, everything that was related to fun was destroyed.
But all the restrictions were nothing compared to what ISIS did to the people they hated: Shiite Muslims, Christians, and Yazidis.
Terrible things started. Terrorists sought out Shias, shot them, and buried in mass graves. They also assassinated representatives of religious minorities like Yazidis. Also, the Sharia law was introduced, and women had to cover their bodies from head to toe, and men had to grow beards and hair.
Most of the Yazidi women from Mosul and the surrounding area were imprisoned, and many were killed or sold as sex slaves. On this channel, we'll make a separate video how the Yazidis escaped from the genocide. So subscribe and turn on notifications so that you will not miss this shocking story.
Yes, cross.
Yes,
Look,
yes.
Daesh destroyed part of it because they hate, because hated.
Of course.
Yes, like look, this broken.
There was a large Christian community in Mosul, and there were many ancient and beautiful churches and cathedrals in the city. The terrorists destroyed icons and sculptures because of intolerance. The church that Mahmoud showed us hasn't been restored yet, and this is what the largest Christian cathedral looks like now.
This church is just enormous. It's so big. This big church was used by ISIS as an office, but unfortunately it was destroyed by an airstrike. Yeah, now it's in this condition, but the restoration is ongoing. And as in many places here, in the walls, in the columns, you can see the traces of bullets.
The terrorists used this church not only as a headquarters, but also as a prison and a place for torture.
Here, in the basement of the church, ISIS militants kept prisoners. So this is the room. It was used by a religious school, madrasah, but when ISIS militants came here, they turned it into a room for investigation and torture. And as you can see, there are bars on the windows. So I think they installed it when they came and made an office out of this place.
The terrorists were practical people. If some cultural objects could be sold, they didn't destroy them, but sold them. and the rest they destroyed for their own amusement.
So they were destroying historical heritage and making film of that. They were taking videos of how they were destroying this historical heritage, right?
They made many videos in
Many
many
videos.
places, yes, but I don't know.
If you think that they destroyed only buildings and monuments of other religions, then it's not so. They didn't even spare the Al-Nuri Mosque, where the leader of ISIS proclaimed the creation of the Caliphate.
It is believed that the militants of ISIS themselves exploited the historical building of this mosque so that it would not fall into the hands of infidels.
The Iraq took the come to take the mosque. The Daesh exploded because they don't want Iraq forces take the mosque complete. Yes.
Mosul at the time of ISIS was a terrible place, and people were in constant fear. But was it even possible to escape from there? Mahmoud said that the terrorists did not allow people to leave. The only way to escape was with the help of smugglers.
He know how he help people to move to carry him to another city. Yes.
But was it safe to escape with these smugglers?
Yeah, it's safe. Yes.
And how much did it cost to escape?
I don't know. I don't ask anyone, but I think 2 or 3 million in Iraq for one person. One person.
So it's very expensive.
Yes, very expensive because he will move from day to life for a safer place.
In general, all the stories of local residents about the times of occupation are very scary and full of pain. And it's so good that this horror ended and people obtained freedom.
We was prison, and we was out of the world, like prison. But after liberated Mosul, we enjoy and the life come back to us, return, and the work back, and the school, university open. Yes.
But in order to return to normal life, it was necessary first to liberate Mosul, and that battle lasted for 16 endless months. The Iraqi army was assisted by an international coalition led by the United States, as well as the Kurdish Peshmerga militia. In this operation, the Peshmerga fought alongside the Iraqi army for the first time in history. In 11 months, they managed to liberate the eastern part of Mosul, which is a new city. However, it was much more difficult to conquer back the old city.
The battle had happened in this area, in old Mosul. This old part of Mosul.
He said that the terrorists hid in the basements of houses and used civilians as human shields. It was convenient for them to defend themselves in the narrow streets of the old city from big vehicles of the Iraqi army.
At this place, Daesh was hidden, and this is considered a big problem to liberate this area because they was hidden there. Yes.
When we walked near the ruins, we met a soldier who participated in the liberation of Mosul. In that battle, he received several wounds, but survived.
Terrorists hid explosives in toys and similar things.
Yes.
Even mined the Quran.
He talked about the menaces that ISIS did to get rid of unwanted residents.
The terrorists came in Iraqi army vehicles, told people that they were Iraqi soldiers and came to rescue them. They said to gather in a certain house, and then all those gathered were shot as traitors.
When the Iraqi army came, the terrorists tried their best to avoid punishment.
ISIS came to the area and hid in cellars and basements. After a while, the residents of Mosul returned here and found the weakened terrorists at home when they opened basement doors. All of them were handed over to the Iraqi army. One of our heroes, a fighter of the 3rd Brigade changed into ISIS clothes. He had the appearance of a terrorist because of his beard, so he was able to infiltrate them and find out their plans and strategy for defense. He managed to kill several terrorists unnoticed and returned alive with valuable information.
But not everyone was so lucky. Many soldiers died.
This guy on the video asks how I can show the corpses of my fighters to their mothers. What will I tell them? That your son died?
This square, this is the last square liberated by Iraq forces in Mosul.
Now this place looks like a wasteland, but there used to be houses here. This place was under massive bombing, while the elite army tried to knock the terrorists out of the basements and save their soldiers.
Of course, not only ISIS terrorists destroyed houses here, also the Iraqi army and the American army. For instance, you see these houses behind me? The locals say that the Iraqi army was coming from that side and they were bombing and taking this district from here. So they destroyed them. Of course, not on purpose, but that's the aftermath of any war.
According to the Iraqi authorities, more than 20,000 soldiers and officers were killed and wounded during the liberation of Mosul. The number of civilian casualties during the entire period of ISIS's occupation, including the operation to liberate the city, ranges from 10 to 40,000 people, according to various estimates. Despite all this damage, people continue to live in Mosul. This man used to live in this house and invited me to see it inside.
I hope that nothing will fall down on my head now. It really looks scary, you see? There are a lot of hanging stones and some parts of the house. Apparently this guy has found the perfect place for parking. And you know, in general, we noticed that people here, the locals, they are not afraid of walking down these dangerous roofs and constructions, as if they are not afraid that something may fall on their heads and just kill them or injure them.
It's terrible that people lost their homes because of the war. Some of the houses were real architectural monuments, but now they are just empty ruins and piles of stones.
Some houses you can see the interior. You see? Colorful ceilings, also walls. So these houses were really beautiful inside and from the outside. And no one lives here anymore.
After the massive bombing, Mosul remained almost completely destroyed. The western part, which is the old town, was especially affected. Now people who have opportunities rebuild their homes on their own.
Can you see these colorful houses? People returned and reconstructed them on their own money. And now, even after the war, they look nice. You see? There are reliefs. And here, pay attention to the door. So the things are finally getting to normal.
Oh, this man's house. It's located 50 meters from the Al-Nuri Mosque, and he also managed to restore his house.
So guys, the local who lives just near the mosque invited us to his house to show us how he reconstructed it after the destruction by ISIS terrorists. Yeah, and he also said that he rebuilt it for his own money without any help. And here, you see? Here you can see a bird in a cage. For some reason, people in Iraq love birds. And you can find parrots anywhere.
But not everyone is as lucky as this man. Most people's homes suffered more, and there is no way to repair them. and the state has no money to help everyone.
Now the Iraqi government has a priority to rebuild state buildings, schools, hospitals, also public places. And as you can see here, a building of municipality is being constructed now, and in the end there should be a beautiful house like this.
Therefore, while the state is still busy restoring social facilities, many very beautiful buildings are in ruins.
You can still see beautiful reliefs like here and other decorations on the houses in Mosul. On the walls, doors, window shutters. Like here, you see a beautiful door. But unfortunately, a big area here looks like this. Totally ruined.
International organizations also help restore destroyed buildings in Mosul.
But UNESCO is reconstructing it.
Yes, UNESCO. Now I will take you to many houses, luxury house. UNESCO helped him to build it. They are still building a developed house. No, they are working, UNESCO.
Good. Let's go.
UNESCO is restoring the most important historical sites, such as the cathedral that I showed earlier and the Al-Nouri Mosque.
Now UNESCO is making a reconstruction here, and you see here, there, that side, there are posters with the logo everywhere here.
The mosque is only at the initial stage of restoration, but the repair on the street nearby is almost completed.
This is the street near the mosque, and everywhere here there is construction dust because they reconstructed it in full. See? Everywhere there are workers. So maybe in a couple of years the whole district will be reconstructed and it will look really nice. And in general it seems that we should revisit this city maybe in 5 or 10 years, and it's really interesting how it will look like. So this is already a manicured area in Mosul, you see? And very richly decorated. Yeah, it looks like a big contrast to the rest of the city, for now.
Despite the fact that the city still looks terrible now, life has been back here for a long time, and incredible energy comes from people.
Only men playing different games, cards, smoking shisha, drinking tea, coffee, but not a single woman, except for me. I don't know why. Maybe because we would sit at home or go some other places.
As befits an Arab country, all the rules of Islam are followed here.
It happened that we are visiting Mosul during Ramadan, and now it's especially difficult to find a place to eat in daylight. So when you see this big piece of cloth covering the entrance, like here, you understand that there is a restaurant where people can eat. So this is how it looks inside. Outside people are fasting, and inside sinners are eating.
In general, now everyone in Mosul lives as before. They work, study, have fun, and do what they want without being afraid of getting a bullet from terrorists. I'm very happy for people here, but every time I look at the ruins or empty houses, sadness comes over me.
Look at this house and imagine that a happy family lived there until terrorists came. So this house, this beautiful house, has a beautiful view on the Tigris River. People were just living their peaceful life, and suddenly not anymore. It's just really hard to imagine, but that's what happened to most of the residents in Mosul. And this is horrible, and that's what is left.
But we cannot change what happened. I just hope that these people will not experience such hardships like a war anymore.
Even though there is still a lot of destruction in the city, people are happy here and they enjoy basic things like safety, ability to study and work, move freely around the city and travel across the country. They can go to a restaurant or a coffee shop and just have fun. Everything that we take for granted. It's really interesting what Mosul will look like in a few years and hopefully even more beautiful than before the destruction.
I want the world to see us. We are peace people, safe people, and we helpful people, supportive people. Don't like terrorists. Don't like war. Don't like to hurt people.
You're watching Regina Khair. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next video.